Okay, this is Unit 5, Lesson 5.3. We are now going to be talking about different types of equations. Up to this point, we have had equations solved in the y equals mx plus b form, the slope and intercept. Remember, the m, that is our m, is the slope. That's what we call how steep the line is. Okay? That's what we call our pattern number. Okay, the pattern number now gets a new name. He calls himself slope. Okay, he's kind of fancy dancy now. So, and the B number is our start point. Okay, that's our start point, the y-intercept. So we know this type of line so far. But now we're going to talk about putting everything equal to the constant. So that means we're going to have x and y on the left, and then we're going to have the constant on the right. That's the difference in the way these are being written. Okay, they're not solved for y. They didn't isolate a variable. They just gave you stuff and said, hey, figure out your line. So, what are we doing here? So it says, graphing it in standard form. It's actually called general form. Okay, this is called general form. If everybody could write that, please. Now, we need to have two numbers in order to graph. We need to have two dots on our graph. So the two dots we need are where it touches the y line, our start point, and where it touches the x line. So where it touches the y line, so where it touches the y line, the y-axis, so that's the y-intercept. And it's telling us how to do it algebraically now. So they're saying if you want to find the y number, cover up x and make it equal to 0. So that's what it means by set x equal to 0. So it's saying cover it up, make it equal to 0. So that would mean, for example, if I had 5x plus 2y equals 6. And if I want the y-intercept, it's saying cover up x and make it 0. So I would literally put my hand on top of the 5x. And it's no longer there. Because 5 times 0 is how big? 0. So just cover up the x. So now we get a question that says 2y equals 6. So if I didn't have this here anymore because x is 0, am I able to find out how big y is? Yeah. We would just divide out the 2. So I would divide out my 2. I'm going to get y equals 3. So that's how you would find your y-intercept. That's our start point. So I'm just going to say, okay, here's my graph. I know now I start up here at positive 3. Okay? Then it says to find the x-intercept, meaning where does it touch the x line. Then you make the y number equal to 0. So if I go back up to my equation up here that I wrote, and we found y is equal to 3, I have a 5x plus 2y. Now we cover up the y and make it equal to 0. And then we say 5x equals 6. So I would have 5x equals 6. And now we just solve for x. Divide out the 5, divide out the 5. So, x is a fraction in this case, and that's okay. X is 6 over 5. So, that's actually 1 point something. Can somebody do the dividing for me, please? The decimal. 1 point something repeating. What decimal do I get for 5?
Came out 1.2.
1.2? It's exact? Wonderful. Okay. So we get 1.2 for our x-intercept. So that tells us way over here at positive 1.2, I make a dot on my x. And then I would join my dots. So that's what we're actually doing, okay? So we're not making it equal to y. We're just finding out what x and y are equal to. So you're going to notice in the table of values, further down, in the table of values, they've done exactly that. They've put in 0 for x at one spot, and they put 0 for y at another spot. They do that on purpose, so that we know where it touches the y line and where it touches the x line. And then we can join those points, okay? So that's why they're always making an x0 and a y0 at some point, okay? All right, so let's actually find out these extra 3 values. So they're showing us the example. Here's our equation. 3x plus 2y equals the big 6. So, with this question, they're putting in the x numbers where x is. and then they're solving for y. So, just like I said, we would cover up the x, make it equal to 0. We get 2y equals 6. Divide out the 2, we get y is 3. So now I know this number here is 3. Okay? Over the next one. They put 0 where the y is. Okay? So we cover up the y this time. So all I would do is I would literally scribble it out. And now I get 3x equals 6. Okay, so we got one more to try. So we found that x is equal to 2, and we put the 0 for y. So that means the number over here is a 2, because that's this number we found. Okay? Now we're going to look at the next one. It's an x number right here. So they put the x number where the x is. Okay? So they found that number as a negative 6. They took it to the other side by adding 6 to both sides. That's how they get 12. They got 6 plus 6 is 12 now. Okay? So now we get 2y equals 12. Divide out the 2. Y equals 6. So now I know this number is a 6. Okay? We'll do more practice together, don't you worry. Alright, let's go to the next example on the next page. So we're going to be talking about vertical or horizontal lines. So far, we've been talking about lines that are diagonal, okay? Whenever the equation has both x and y, we're dealing with a diagonal line, okay? So, I want you to write that up here. Diagonal lines have x and y both. So that's something really unique. So if it's going to be a diagonal line of some sort, which is what we've been dealing with, it needs to have an x in the equation and a y in the equation. Okay, it's going to have both. But now we're going to be dealing with horizontal and vertical. Horizontal and vertical lines only have one variable. Okay, they only ever have one. So what we're going to do actually is we are going to graph these points. They showed us where they graphed them. They graphed them right across here and they joined the line. Okay, they're showing the points they found. So they've got one point here, right in the middle, and way over here. So what are we noticing about the actual table of values? What do we notice? Hopefully you're noticing something special about the table of values here. What do you notice? The 4 is being repeated. So we have a 4 being repeated. So if all of the y numbers are the same number, what kind of line did we get? Horizontal. We got one that went straight across. So whenever the y numbers are the same, we're going to get a horizontal line. So think of it this way. The letter H can be drawn like this. And horizontal, that stands for horizontal. Now, if I'm talking about what letter, X or Y, well, I can turn that H upside down. I could turn them upside down, look what I get. I get a Y. So if you need to remember it that way, that's the way I actually remember it all the time, is that a horizontal line will always have the same Y number. Always, always, that's what that means. So horizontal lines, same Y number. Okay? Same Y number. That's a horizontal line. Now, we're going to look at the next one, and we're going to think, well, let's look at the table of values. It's a little different. And hopefully you're noticing the same thing as what's going on with this one. So, look at the bottom one here, and here's the line they graphed. And they have 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. So what do you notice about this table of values now?
That the x numbers are all the same.
Exactly, the x numbers are the same. So whenever we have x numbers are the same, it's going to give us a vertical line. Okay? So, we're going to say it this way. The letter X has a V in it. Watch this. So vertical lines is an X. Oh, pretty cool, eh? So you just go like this, make a V and an upside down V. Ah. So that's how I remember it. So it's got a vertical and it's got a V. So vertical lines only have the same X number. So same X number is a vertical line. Now, those diagonal lines we've been dealing with for a while, they actually get a new name. They actually get a very special name, and it starts with the letter O. So we're going to go back to the top of our page there where we wrote this little note about diagonal lines. We're going to give them their new name. Diagonal lines are now called oblique. Okay? O-B-L-I-Q-U-E. Diagonal lines are now called oblique lines. Okay? So, if I tell you something is oblique, that means it's just a diagonal line. Okay? And that also means it has X and Y in the equation. If it doesn't have both letters and it only has one letter, then you have to see which letter is being repeated. Is the X being repeated? If so, then it's going to be a vertical line. If the Y is being repeated, it's going to be a horizontal line. Okay? We're going to try a couple in the little booklet I gave you of the notes. So everybody grab their notes booklets. We're going to take a look at these questions. So these are questions, and these are ones that I've seen on the PAT. So this is why we try to practice them together first. So, it's safe to say, I have a rectangle. Does everybody see that rectangle?
Yes.
Beautiful. So with this rectangle, is it safe to say that I've got two vertical lines? Yeah. Well, if I've got two vertical lines, I need to know what numbers they touch on that X line. Because remember, if they're vertical, they have a V, that means they're coming from the X line. So, what we have to do then is we need to see what number does it touch on the X line. That's what we're trying to see. So everybody count. What number? This is a 10 by 10 grid. So if you actually just go 10, 9, 8, what number is that? 7. -7 actually. Hello. Hi. No. Yep. That's okay. Bye. Okay. So we find this one is -7 right there, okay? So that means vertical line, we say X equals -7. That's the number it touched and made a vertical line. Okay? Over here, what number are we touching over here? Is it 7 as well? 10,
Oh, wait,
9,
no.
8, 7, 6. So X equals +6. It's a 6. Okay? Now we have to look at the horizontal lines. So a rectangle is made by two horizontals and two verticals. So now I've got a horizontal going there and a horizontal going there. So when I look for my horizontal numbers now, I look along the Y line. So what Y numbers did I touch? I touched one up here and I touched one down there. So what are the Y numbers I touched? So that's why I have to say Y equals, Y equals. So now we're seeing on this line, what digits did I touch? Well, let's go down below. -1, -2. So Y touches -2. What about above? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y equals 5. Okay? Any questions with how to do a question like this? You're going to practice on the one right below. Okay, there's 2 practice questions. I want you guys to try these and we'll go through them right away. Okay, so find where they touch on the lines. So remember, we're only looking for where they touch these lines. There, 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 and there. We only want where they touch the X line, where they touch the Y line. Okay, we're going to take a look at what you found here. So line A is horizontal. So is it going to start with X equals or Y equals? What do you think? Y equals. Good. And the way you tell is because what line did it touch? The Y line. If it touches the Y line, it has to start with a Y. If it touches this X line right here, it has to start with an X. So the first one we get up here is Y equals 7. Down here, it's kind of in between. So you could say -5.5 or -5 or -6, whichever one of those you got closest to because it's kind of in between. Now we're going to check the X lines. The X numbers are on this squiggly line I drew, and now we just check for their numbers. So this guy lands on -3, so we put a -3 here. This guy lands on a 6, we put a 6 there. How'd you do? Pretty good? Alright, I want to see your fingers. Did you get 1 right out of 4? Did you get 2 right out of 4? Did you get 3 right? Did you get 4 right? Oh, I like seeing 4. Well done, everybody. That's okay. That's okay. Alright, let's see what you did for this one. Same idea. So, our A line is vertical, A line and B line is vertical. So this time A and B start with X because they touch this line right there and right there. That's why the A and B's, because they come down and they touch this line. That's why they have to start with the letter X. So that guy's going to be at -6-ish, 6.5-ish. This guy is right at +2. Now we're going to look at the Y. Alright, we need to know where they touch this line, C and D. So what number do they touch? 3. On the bottom, what number do they touch? Right, can't hear you? -8. Who got all 4 of those right? 4s? Nice, nice, nice. Okay, this concludes lesson 5.2.